Hi everyone, welcome back to Hartley Homestead. If you're new to the channel, my name is Kevin, and today we traveled a couple hours south of our homestead to visit my mom, and I'm standing on our original family homestead that was actually settled by my ancestors somewhere in the late 1800s. So thought I'd give everyone a little tour here on our property, and also kind of searching out future firewood sources. So just a quick glance, there's quite a bit for me that I can cut up this coming year here. So we'll start out, this is the very back end of our property, and our property goes about a half-mile back. This low spot in here, from what I've been told many years ago, most of this was just pasture, and that was actually dug as a little pond to water cattle. My ancestors at one time raised cattle and other animals here on this homestead. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, I remember it was here since I was little, and kind of neat that they actually watered cattle there at one time. Hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad. It got windy again today, but it is probably in the low 50s and sunny, so that's nice. So right here is our back of the property fence line, and across the fence here is one of 3 man-made ponds. They go that way as well. Gosh, these were dug well over 40 some years ago. I was just a toddler when they were finishing up this pond. As you might figure, you know, back in the 70s, this area out there was kind of a hangout spot for parties. In the summertime back then, there was hardly a weekend that didn't have some sort of party going on out here. So, but that's the back end of our place here. Looking around, we have a lot of mixture of maples and some pine trees, a few oaks, and we even have some white birch and an occasional ash, a lot of popple trees too. And some of these trails here have existed for many years. My dad had groomed a lot of these trails with our old Ford 9N tractor, and was also popular trails back in the day for dune buggies. And our property, we always had nice trails. The downside to that is everybody else wanted to ride on them as well. Over here is a tower blind that my brother and I built. Gosh, it's probably been 12 years ago now, and hunted out of that a few times. As you can see, I have a lot of firewood to choose from around here, a lot of dead stuff. So I'll be bringing down the side-by-side or the John Deere tractor and trailer, and my steel chainsaw, and we'll be doing a lot of cutting here this spring and summer. Add firewood for the firewood stand that I hope to open up at our homestead there out by the road. While we're in the very back corner, I'll also show you something. This mature pine tree we're coming up on. So as you can tell, this is a really old pine tree. I would guess it to be 150 years old maybe. It did have an offshoot. It must have been at one time where I could tell someone cut it with a chainsaw. What was kind of special about this spot is I was metal detecting in this area a few years ago, and I found an old steel wedge and an old hatchet head. Probably was my grandpa's, could have been older than that, and I'll try to fit a picture of that in this video. And I'm actually going to try and rehab that hatchet head, and I think that'll be a separate video of its own. But just thought I would show you that spot. It was, you know, a find that you'd just never expect to find out here, and without the metal detector I would have never found it. Okay, here we're on the other side of the old cattle watering hole. We always referred to it as the swamp, and we're probably not too many weeks away now. Once it thaws, we get turtles and frogs and croaking and singing, and I mean, it gets so loud that it actually hurts your ears back here, but it's always a favorite thing for us to listen to in the springtime. So we're just over halfway back up towards the front of our property, and behind me here used to be quite a steep sand hill, and there wasn't really anything that grew on it. We couldn't attract a lot of wildlife. So about 25 years ago we had this excavated. So we actually, I don't know, it's probably like a 2-acre pond, not typically very deep. It's of course a little bit deeper, you know, in the springtime, but even in the summer it's probably a good 1 or 2 foot deep, and really good for wildlife. Deer love to bed over in there, and they'll travel along the edges here. So as far as the land improvement, it was definitely worth doing. We hold a lot more deer on this property than we used to, so that's a good thing. So because of all of this habitat improvement we did, we have deer that follow our main trail, and bucks do in the fall. So during the rut we'll see scrapes, and a lot of this, the pines coming up on both sides, this was all planted by hand. We did about 25 years ago. So as you can see, some of them have gotten very tall. A lot of them are native white pines. A few of them are Scotch. But because of all of this scrape activity, I got some trail cameras set up, and I left them up over the winter. So now's a good time to probably swap out the SD cards and give them fresh batteries. Okay, so that camera should be set now for the summer, and we'll review the cards that were in it over the winter, and if I find anything interesting, I'll try to insert it in this video as well. Okay, so here we're at the far north end of our little pond here. The neighbors also have a much larger pond that was dug, but really good for the deer. They got an active trail here and one there, and my mom's house is just up there. So yeah, so hope I didn't bore anyone too much with this short little property tour, but thought I would take everyone along. Sometime I hope to have a drone and fly it up over this property. I would like to take it out over this pond someday and give you a different perspective of the land out here. But again, as always, thank you to our viewers, our current subscribers. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Make sure you hit the like button and share them with others. That really helps us in the YouTube algorithm. And we'll catch you on the next one.